Alright, April 4th, 7/18. This video here is about the Deus 2. And there's a gentleman, Wizards of Wisconsin, YouTuber. He's put a question into one of my videos and I tried to answer him. And basically what he was asking, he says, oh, what I'm talking about with this notch on this Deus 2 on small stuff like foul that reads low. Is this what this gentleman's first name Gary in the UK is doing with this program he's been showing people? Well, the answer is yes and no. Yes, for relic hunting. Now remember, over there in the UK, he's looking for cut coins, bits, okay, in those fields. What we have here in the United States that may be of interest to you, maybe like in a schoolyard, you're looking for old silver and copper, silver rings. So a 42, 0 to 42 notch is not enough. Okay. Now, Rattlehead, he may comment in this video. It's fine if he does. He can comment in any of my videos because I like him. He's knowledgeable. You'll see where Rattlehead developed the Silver Slayer program. He runs about a 87 notch. Okay. Looking for the silver, looking for the copper. Not the zincums and not the twist caps. He won't dig too many of them. Now just remember, running the notch that high with a 40 max frequency, say in the fast program, there will be some mass possible silver and copper that won't come over that notch. That's what I've been showing. You could see an 80, you could see a 79, you could see a zinc and penny ID. So if you took the Silver Slayer program of his into a site, you couldn't walk out of it with the Deus 2 and just say necessarily the site is Deus 2 dead using that program. Now, it's going to find some of the stuff, there's no doubt. Now remember, the situation has to exist before you can expose it. I can't tell you how many of those are out there, but let's just put it this way. If we went to a site Rattlehead had hunted with that Deus 2 running that Silver Slayer program, well, if I went in there behind him knowing he's been in there running a 87 notch, running a fast program, well, I wouldn't go back in there and do it again. I'd run my notch lower, hoping or thinking that he's missed some coins that are more heavily masked. Now, you know, you got to think like this too. How many signals in, let's say, an old schoolyard are you going to see, for example, that read 80 and higher? Okay, we know zincums could, twist caps. So you would have to contend with them to check them using that system I've showed. Okay. Now this goes for all of the coils, but now you're going to see some differences between the 9 and 11 and the 9 and 11 by 13 coil. There's going to be some differences. There's going to be some situations, believe it or not, where the 11-inch and 11 by 13 outperforms the 9-inch coil. Now, probably one of the most important things to remember, and you'll see Rattlehead, he likes to run about a 0.5 for speed. Now, I don't think his ground is that hot. And you can get away with running a slower speed with that detector. You're not going to run a 0.5 out in hot dirt in Colorado. You probably ain't going to get no depth. Okay, and it'll make the machine real sweep speed sensitive. You probably can't even hardly run a 1 out there. But I've not hunted out there. So a 0.5 through 1.5, I wouldn't run any higher than 1.5 trying to get that Deus 2 running a 24 or a 40 max frequency to unmask some higher conductors with lower conductors. And the speed is also going to help you if you decide to run a 14 max frequency, but you'll be allowed to run it somewhat faster in certain scenarios and expose this stuff. Okay, some of the higher conductors. Of course, you know your battery life is lower at 14 max frequency usage versus 40. Okay, new users of the Deus 2, one of the most important things you can do is to get out there and get you a piece of foam. You may look at my videos, you see what I've got, get you something elevated and start moving that fall around the tops of some cones and watch the behavior of that machine. Applying notch, varying the notch, varying the speed, and changing the max frequency. Very important with that machine. Probably more important. It ain't as important if you buy a Manicore, believe it or not. But the nice folks at MindLab, I think I'm right in saying this, the foil range, a lot of the smaller foil range in the programs, on most programs, for example, on the Manicore, they've already notched it. The Deus 2, it's not notched. Now the Park program may be. It's the only one, if there's one. The rest of them, there's no notch other than hot rocks, like 23, 24. Okay, so yeah, you could run a 42 notch. You could leave your iron range open. So, if you had a target, for example, that read 60 or 70, you might hear it. Okay? But wonder if you've got a target, that a piece of fall, and its proximity is trying to hide a dime. Well, a 40 notch, you still may hear the dime. The only problem is you're going to hear everything else that reads over, you're going to hear everything else that reads over 40 or 42. You're going to hear everything reads 50, 60, 70, and 80. That can be a lot of stuff in a site with modern trash. So you're doing two things. What Rattlehead does with his program, he's doing two things. He's not hearing a lot of the modern trash, and he's forcing that machine to discount that foil and give audio on the higher conductor as long as it meets a certain parameter. And he uses generally 87 for the notch. Okay? So yeah, you can run different. A relic hunter, if I went to a relic site, a hunt, I probably wouldn't run anything. 40 is probably a good number. Notch to 40. 40, 42, that'll get rid of a lot of the 22 hull, smaller fall. Okay, so you get to hear, your nickels. You should hear your nickels. Things that have some mass to them. Nickels, are bigger. So you would hear them. You would hear the 50 reading signals generally. The 70 signals, the 80 signals that are trying to be masked by the smaller fall. That's going to conclude the video. I hope this answered this Wizards of Wisconsin and anybody else that wants to watch this video.